Senator Hassan, thank you very much. Let me ask a couple of questions, and then we'll turn to the ranking member. One of the things I'm told I should be concerned about is with the U.S. Center for Safe Sports, and it's beginning to be up and running in a sense, that there is a slowness in the response. And I would like to know whether that's true and what your experience has been. It's important for victims, for survivors to have the reality as well as the impression that they are being listened to. And that's one of the things we've heard from those survivors in numerous conversations is it was as if no one cared. So if we're going to create a culture in which athletes feel comfortable in reporting, and in this case to the U.S. Center for Safe Sports, they need to know there's a prompt and real interest in their well-being, that their story can be told and actions will follow. What's the experience that you've had in the timeliness of U.S. Center for Safe Sports responding to your athletes, or would you not know that because only the athletes know that? Mr. Andrews?
There are some for which we wouldn't know because the report is made directly to the center, but I would say that your comments are accurate. The center has been overwhelmed with the volume of investigations it's been required to carry out, and as a result does require more support from all of us, financially and non-financially, to both improve its processes and critically its timelines. In the case of emotional and physical abuse complaints, they're still dealt with at the national governing body level and are certainly able to be dealt with more quickly because simply we're less overwhelmed than the center is at this time.
Anyone, Ms. Kamich, you were ready to speak. My question would be, is that the experience, or anyone have any specifics in which they can provide today for our hearing record? Ms. Kamich?
You know, we don't have specifics. I mean, similar to Mr. Andrews with weightlifting, we sometimes make the complaint for someone, or where we could tell something's going on because we've been asked if someone is a member. But bottom line, it does take a while. And again, I think it's because they're overwhelmed.
Anyone else?
As recent as last week at our United States Aquatic Convention in Jacksonville, I sat in our Safe Sport Committee meeting, and we heard loud and clear that the responsiveness is taking too long, and they're concerned because they're not getting any calls back, regardless of what the complaint is.
That's a useful thing to know. I mean, a number of you have testified about additional taxpayer resources. You indicate that they're overwhelmed. Overwhelmed for lack of, I mean, I understand there's a volume in complaints, but overwhelmed because of process and procedure, or overwhelmed because there's just not enough people to do the work, or both?
I would say there's a degree of both. They're still new, they're still learning, and if you look at the history of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, now recognized as the gold standard around the world, they suffered from similar issues at the start of their life. We have a specific issue you asked for, Senator Moran. We had a sexual harassment of a child complaint, which we heard nothing for several months from the center, resulting in us taking a last-minute interim measure against that individual as a national governing body. But I do believe it's both of the items that you said. It's both a need to employ more investigators to ensure that the timeline is reduced, and also expertise, additional expertise to continue to improve their processes as they become a more mature organization.
One of the processes. One of the processes that we could perhaps improve is just the acknowledgement of the complaint, of something being filed, so that, again, there's knowledge that someone's paying attention. Let me ask this question. A number of you indicated the importance of support from, maybe this you in particular, Mr. Steele, financial support from the USOC. Describe to me, I mean, all four of you have different NGB resources, different magnitude of your programs. What is it that the U.S. Olympic Committee does for you financially? And by that, I in part mean, what kind of dollars are we talking about?
Depends on the year of the quad, because the percentage does change. But I would say, on average, probably 65, sometimes up to 70% of the total revenue that comes in is from the USOC. And we're talking about, roughly $2 million a year.
And are those numbers, you indicated they change from year to year, but have they changed as a result of the new attention, focus on sexual abuse? You're talking about money that is utilized across the board, not just related to this issue, this $2 million. That's money that supports your governing body broadly.
It's very specific to athlete programming.
Okay.
That is the only thing it's used for. So it's
And
not.
what does that mean?
That means coaches taking care of the team, traveling around the world, fielding teams, buying equipment. It has to be related to a sports program for the athletes.
And has that increased as a result of an effort by the USOC to deal with the issue that's this topic of this hearing?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would echo Darren's statement. We get about 15%, and it's direct athlete funding to our national team athletes, so they have a chance to live and compete at the highest levels.
Right, so same, it's not for this initiative.
Okay.
We're at 2.7%, and again, it hasn't increased due to this initiative.
Okay, thank you. Senator Blumenthal is recognized.